Yasia Sagagi says, how does one get a customs broker? Engineer.
Yes, customs brokers, like I mentioned, are equivalent to your customs agents in Nigeria. And it's just like any other professional, they have varying degrees of experience in the business. So usually we recommend to go with those who are most experienced. There's a database of customs brokers. I can share the websites in a minute, but you actually have the best bet for referrals. If there's someone that has used a customs broker and is satisfied with that broker, there's no better recommendation than a referral business. So talk to people that already used one. If you don't, I'll share a website where you can do some search, do your due diligence, and select one that will represent you effectively and defend your products and advise you so you don't go wrong and you don't go to any portals.
Thank you very much. And the next question, how does a business get a potential buyer?
Well, there are several ways, actually, and I alluded to some of them. One is by referral. One is by doing a search online. Another one is by by checking some chambers of commerce in the US. Most large companies belong to different chambers of commerce. And most chambers of commerce have database of members. And most of them, many of them rather, also have products and services that their members are either purchasing or they are selling. So at the end of the line, talk to us. We can advise you on getting some buyers in the US. But definitely don't forget your personal contact. Don't forget to do a search on professional websites, the Chambers of Commerce websites, and then talk to us.
Thank you very much. Any more questions?
I have a comment on that.
Okay, please go ahead.
Just a way of probably trying to eke out further details from Engineer Olowokere. Now, hypothetical situation. I am a Nigerian potential exporter. I don't know anybody in the US. I might be able to make up half a container. I don't have the resources to fill up a container, but the US is my target market. Do we have any frameworks, co-exporting, clustering, or anything like that? Or do you have at the America end some kind of importers that will be happy to take from micro enterprises, which are the core of developing economies?
Well, first of all, let me mention something you should not do. You don't need to talk to the US embassy in Nigeria or any embassy for that matter in Nigeria, because their assignments is to represent US in the respective countries of assignments. They are to protect US businesses flowing out of US, not goods coming into US. So they don't have that information. Correspondingly, your first contact should be the embassy of your country in US, because it represents your country's interest, your country's export businesses in the US. They want, let's take Nigeria hypothetically, they want Nigerian products to come to the US. So they are the first port of call. Now, secondly, like I mentioned earlier, would be the trade organizations. There are a lot of trade organizations in US. Many of them are accredited, and they have database of potential uptakers in the US. They have database of manufacturing industries and where you might likely sell your products and services. So that's pretty much the best path to take. Your embassy, information in the US, and trade organizations. Now, There are also different databases, independent databases, like the one I mentioned about Duns and Bradstreet, that have information about respective companies. Overall, you do your search online, but you have a better deal talking to your embassy in US and talking to trade organizations in US.
Thank you so very much. The next question is by Inemes Oyebanji. He said, I was told by an agent in the United States that I can bring my well-processed dry smoked catfish. I cannot bring my well-processed dry smoked catfish to the United States because US produces catfish. So it's like competition.
Well, first of all, like we mentioned in the presentation, US imports anything and everything. US has large deposits of oil, but it's still Nigeria is the 7th largest exporter of oil to the US. US doesn't produce enough of anything to meet the local demands. So yes, you can export catfish to the US, absolutely. So saying that there's no market for catfish in the US is a fallacy. Now, the issue is, would you be able to comply with the import requirements? Like I mentioned during the presentation, there are certificates, there are inspection requirements, there are registrations that you need to comply with. If you comply with these regulations, you can bring catfish to the US. If it's not on the list of unallowed products at the time of export, yes, you can bring it in. There was a time they did not allow live animals. They did not allow processed animal products to come to the US. The law changes regularly. So at the time you decide to export catfish to the US, just make sure you identify a knowledgeable, experienced custom broker who will confirm the eligibility status of that product at the time you're exporting to the US. But you can export anything and everything to the US at a particular point in time.
Okay, before I go to the next question, I will throw in one here. I heard that you cannot bring in live snails to United States. Giant snails.
Now, I don't have that information on top of my head, but for the most part, it's actually going to be a challenge to bring live snails to the US for two reasons. First of all, Americans don't eat live snails. They don't eat snails at all, period. It's very low on their demand chain. The market for snail in the US is mostly in the immigrant community. The white man doesn't eat snail. Nigerians, Africans eat snakes, for instance. Americans don't eat snakes. It's appalling to them. So first of all, your market is limited to the immigrant community. Second of all, there will be strict requirements by government to bring in either live snails or frozen snails. They have to comply with health requirements. So again, you need to consult with the customs broker to make sure at the time you decide to export snails to the US, either live snails or frozen snails, it's on the allowed list and you can comply with the requirements from the Customs and Border Patrol.
Okay, and that will apply to those that eat dogs as well. They won't be able to bring.
Exactly. Americans don't eat dogs. In fact, they will kill you for eating dogs. So again, that only applies to a certain, not even just immigrant community. A lot of immigrants don't even eat dogs. Only few tribes in some countries eat dogs. So if you decide to export dogs to the US as a frozen cooked meat or barbecued dog meat, I don't know.
Okay, so we go now to Olanike Adesanya that says, is there a benchmark for the quantity of goods exportable, like the tonnage, or just a quantity considered profitable to the stakeholders? And
no, if I understand it correctly, there is no upper limit to what you can bring in. You know, America is very open. As long as it's a contract, there's an offer, there's an acceptance, somebody's willing to buy your products, you have a confirmed uptaker, except that particular industry or that particular product has a government focus. Generally, there is no limit to how much quantity of products you can bring into US as long as you can sell. But you just have to confirm at the time of making that decision to make sure the law has not changed.
Thank you. Aderonke Alabi says, I'm new to export and interested in contract manufacturing. Where will the inspection agency check in respect to what you said about goods going into US? The company manufacturing for me?
Could you say that again? I'm not sure I got that clearly.
It says, I'm new to export and interested in contract manufacturing. Where will the inspection agency check in respect to what you said about goods going into the US?
Yes, contract manufacturing. Definitely, they will check at both ends of the divide. If you are doing contract manufacturing from outside the US, let's take Liberia, for instance, and the products are coming to US, one, the US inspectors would not impose on you to check the facilities, but it will be to your advantage to use them because they're going to come there at no charge. Number two, even if you have the products with prior inspection at the country of origin, where you are doing the contract manufacturing, you have less rigorous documentation to do at the points of clearance in the US. So it's actually a plus for you doing contract manufacturing to have the inspection check you at the points of manufacturing before you even go too further. Otherwise, if you do...
Now, talking about...
if you do large quantity of contract manufacturing and there is defects in all the batches, guess what? When they get to the US, all the batches will be returned to where they come from. So it's not to your advantage. Mr. Boyede.
Thank you. Sorry to have had to. I can see one of our participants here. I was discussing with him during the week about contract manufacturing, and I want to invite him to actually make a comment or two about what he has done so far and what challenges he thinks they are facing. This is a guy who produces, I have samples with me here that I'll be bringing back to Canada, who produces toothpaste that, as far as I'm concerned, will match any dentifrice around the world. Mr. Macaulay, can you please unmute yourself if you can hear me? And let's see what you have to say about this contract manufacturing thing. Are you there, Mr. Oscar Macaulay?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Well, when it comes to contract manufacturing, from our experience in Nigeria here, the first thing here is that the company must have, the manufacturer must have good manufacturing practice certificate, certified by NAFDAC. If you have that, that means it depends. NAFDAC will have to visit your facility and certify it to be okay for that particular product. And you'll be given a certificate for it. That's when you can produce it. But if not, you don't have it, then it's a big challenge. Okay, well, a standard organization too gives MANCAP for manufacturers. MANCAP for manufacturers, but the major requirements here is the GMP, which is the good manufacturing practice certificate. It is a requirement. It's a standard requirement for contract manufacturing. You can't do without it. That is the major thing here. All other regulatory, then, and by the time they visit your factory, well, as far as I'm concerned, especially I'm in personal care and cosmetics, personal care, cosmetic home care, well, you have to be compliant. If you are not compliant, you will not pull through. I don't know much of pharmaceuticals, but I know of cosmetics, personal care, and home care. You have to be compliant. And for you to export to, they will come over, pick samples of the products too, ensure that they are registered products, ensure that they meet the specifications. Whatever you register, whatever is registered with them, they make sure that it's compliant. That is it. And they give you a certificate for it before you can export. Yeah, that is it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Macaulay. I actually intended for that to be a leading question. In my last paid employment, I was export manager of Stanmark Cocoa Processing Company in Ondo.
Okay.
And the big opportunity that Stanmark extended out there was, okay, for those of you who know about cocoa, it's a very, very financial intensive work. So today you are probably looking for working capital that runs into minimum of 5 billion naira even to procure cocoa. So the opportunity then presents itself for another person who has money and wants to export. He wants to export value-added product, but he does not have 20 billion to set up a cocoa processing factory. So he gives his money to the cocoa farmer who delivers to the processing factory, who processes in the name or packaging of the owner of the raw material. That's why I brought Mr. Macaulay in, and I'm hoping that that answers one of the earlier questions. That's where I'm going to ask Mrs. Elizabeth Nwankwo, who has had her hands up for a while, to also talk, because she's in the industrial park in Ibadan. And I recall, I think my second container going to Canada, I got somebody from Ikorodu to produce gari, which they delivered in Mrs. Nwankwo's factory in Ibadan, where everything was repackaged. I threw all these things up, I said, leading, so that participants on this program can begin to think. You may not ever thought of manufacturing toothpaste or soap, for example. We have Dudu Osun that has taken the world by storm, but maybe, just maybe, when you hear the experiences, Mrs. Nwankwo, through our effort in Canada, is now a renowned exporter of Iru, low-cost beans, to Canada. Some of this, she gets the raw materials from people who come to contract manufacture in Ibadan. Madam, please, can you share experience with us for 2 minutes?
Okay, sir. Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, it's my privilege to be around this afternoon and to listen to this wonderful expository message from our speaker for today and the other questions that have come up. Contract manufacturing is challenging because people don't really have a complete understanding of what it entails. But Mr. Boyede has make it easier for us to understand that it's possible for you to produce without opening a factory. Just like you going to China for production of product that comes to Nigeria that we see. People go there, they tell them what they want, and a factory will produce it, put their label on it, and give it to them and export it down to Nigeria. Simple as ABC. So there are factories that are available. So you don't need to begin to put your figure again into equipment because they are capital intensive and they will tie your capital down. So all we need to do is locate factories where you can do your production, have an arrangement, have an agreement, have your product that you want them to produce for you. The SOP can be matched with what you have before in order to know exactly what you wanted on the table. Like he said, so many things have been packed by us that we don't actually do the primary production. But we visit those people doing the production to make sure they're doing the needful, so that when traceability is being accounted for, there will not be error in the work. So I think it's a beautiful thing that we all consider doing contract manufacturing for our export work, so that we don't have to go through learning the process and burning our fingers overnight. And a few things I saw on the questions I've attended to on snail. US considers snail as pests. UK considers snail life as pets. And so each country you want to export to have their own rules. So you need to study the country you want to export into and know their rules. You mustn't go beyond 20 tons for America. If you go above 20 tons, you'll be charged. UK 24, Canada can go up to 26. Some other European country, you can go up to 32. So you need to know which country you are exporting to and find out their own rules and know how to deal with it. I'll stop at that, except if I'm calling him.
Thank you so very much. I was actually going to mention that you had responded to the issue of the live snail. For United States, it is considered pest, but for UK, it is considered pet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you so very much. We're happy to have you again, Elizabeth Nwanko. You have been a great addition to our presentations all the time. There was another hand up before. Kayode. We see Kayode, your hand was up. Do you still want to ask a question? Unmute yourself, please. Kayode, are you still there? Unmute yourself.
I'm there. Thank you very much.
Okay. Please, when you come on to ask questions, introduce yourself, where you are joining us from, and then go ask your question. Thanks.
That's what I'm trying to do. My name is Boyede. Right now, I'm speaking from London. I have to commend the organizer of this laudable program. Very educative and informative, particularly the information that we had today from the speaker. My question is just simple. There are so many exporters in Nigeria, and is there a forum like this to educate and inform them of this kind of thing? Because although I'm in the business of banking, but this kind of program really made me want to rethink maybe I should become an exporter because of the good information and all this advantage that is coming out of it. But I'm aware due to my short stint with exports in Nigeria when I was in back home, that there are a lot of exporters who are oblivious of this kind of information and who need this help and information to make them progress in their business. Is there any forum like this that can gather them together and let them be aware of this? That's just it. Thank you very much.
Okay, I will allow Femi to answer that question.
I'm sure you saw me laughing.
Yes.
There are information sessions, there are free ones, and there are paid ones. So it just depends on how much of a social networker you are. I remember Engineer Olowokere mentioned that as part of the tips. Capacity building is never ending. Knowledge is never exhaustive. Before I obeyed the call of my principal to go and stay more in Canada, I was actually running a program here in Nigeria, Export Digest, on NTA, and I'm sure so many people also used to watch that. So yes, there are quite a lot. And what we're doing here too, Mr. Boyede, it's actually right now being live streamed on the Facebook and YouTube. And of course, it is reposited there. So you can always, if you have questions and concerns about export, you're looking for information, especially, I agree entirely with you that now that we are in a knowledge economy globally, the thirst for knowledge should be a never-ending one. So yes, there are also organizations in Nigeria, in the US, just like the ones that Engineer Olowokere listed, that provide information. There are portals in Canada that you get all the information that we're talking about. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so very much, sir. And next question. Okay, if you are not speaking, please remember to mute yourself. Thank you very much. Any other hand up before I go to the next question? Okay. I'm having a glitch from here.
Chinwe Uzu has a comment. Chinwe, can you please make your comment then? I see it in the chat forum here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
I'm very sorry, I have a poor connection. It's raining heavily where I am. So I'm hoping that you can hear what I have to say. First of all, I would like to commend Mr. Boyede for his tenacity over the years in driving this export agenda for Nigeria. What I have to say, I thank Mr. Olowokere as well for his very insightful presentation. There's a lot of hope there. But my challenge or my worry is that in today's world, where oil as an energy source is becoming obsolete, it scares me really that I'm not seeing any serious push by the Nigerian government to diversification. There's a lot of talk going on, but what they are doing in the fiscal and monetary policies that we see are contrary to that agenda. The challenge we are having today, export is our major, if not only way out. Of course, everybody in economics knows that the basic measure of any country's health, economic health, that is its balance of trade. The difference between what you earn from your export and what you pay out to import what you consume locally. As long as we continue to import more than we export, we will continue to battle with the current challenges of devaluation, forex shortages, inflation, unemployment, or rather underemployment. And what's the way forward? We start with value addition. I'm happy to hear Mrs. Elizabeth, I think, Wankwo, talking about processing products, contract manufacturing. Value addition is the way out for us, rather than export of the raw materials to which much value hasn't been added. We know that the value of that in terms of what it can earn is so much lower than either a semi-processed or a finished product. Now, the policies that the government puts in place, the enabling environment we create, the removal of the non-tariff barriers, there are so many. There was an article in The Guardian just last week talking about the challenges that exporters go through at the airport, the multiple charges they have to pay. And you find that when you have to pay so much to export and you're landing in your country of export at a cost higher than what other countries producing similar materials are landing at the same country, you are at a disadvantage already, okay? The focus on the quality and the standards, especially around packaging, meeting the international standards for each country, the access to credit for the SME. It is not every SME there that can fill a 20-ton container or anything larger than that. If the financing is not there, we have a long way to go. So without all this, we cannot be competitive, even internally. You find that if your imported product is cheaper than what you produce locally, the local product has little or no chance. So I will continue to encourage all the current and budding exporters here. I am not an exporter at the moment. Maybe it will get to a point where I can get interested, but I'm very encouraged by the people on this platform this evening who are making the effort to push Nigeria's product out there. That is the way to go. And I want to pray that in spite of all these challenges, we continue to push and hope and pray that one day our government will understand that this is the right thing to do and give us the much needed assistance that we need to access these markets and to
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you so very much. We appreciate this contribution. Yes, it was there in the newspaper during the week about how the cargo leaving Nigeria, the planes prefer to go empty because of all these challenges. I think that will be another topic for another that this team will be looking at, because it's actually a sad situation. Thank you for bringing that out. And we actually have 6 more minutes on this program. We may extend it for a little bit more. We will not be taking so much of your time. If we are unable to read out your question here, we will advise that you please put them out on our forum. We have a forum. If you do not belong, please, Sheyi, you can share the link for those who do not belong to the Talking Trade Forum on the WhatsApp group to actually register with us. So you can put those questions out and we'll be able to answer them as we go along. The other question I see now is, what are the options available if you run into payment problems in case you are making direct sales to a US buyer? That is from Adekunle Olowokere. Engineer Olowokere, you're on mute, sir. Please unmute yourself.
Okay. Well, I don't have much to say on this, really. There are some standard, unless there is a criminal dimension to the transaction, usually the government doesn't intervene in private business dealings. Usually the best method, of course, is if you get the money in advance, which most companies don't do, but some do. They pay you everything up front and deliver to them. But there are also more secure payment systems. Usually the most popular is the letter of credit, and sometimes we do a consignment. But in most cases, I think it's just important for the exporter to do their due diligence, make sure the company they're exporting to will not default on payments. If there's a default on payments, I will assume there will be some arbitration clause in the original agreements. And in the worst case scenario, there could be a court case, But it's important to do the due diligence up front and to use letter of credit for the most part, which is more secure, which guarantees your payments.
Thank you very much. I'm happy that we have come to the end of the questions. On the platform, I cannot see questions again. I see some questions were asked and answers have been given. Thank you so much, Mr. Boyede, for being very diligent in doing that.
Lady K, if you give me 1 second, Lady K, I just wanted to clarify, and I put this on the chat box too.
Yes.
There was this discussion about this live snail.
Exactly.
Live snail, like I mentioned, almost anything can be imported to US, depends on the laws at that time. As of now, live snail for human consumption is what's not allowed, but frozen snail can be brought in. But even for live snail, if it's for research purpose, for agricultural purpose, they could be imported as pests. And for this, you still need a special permit. But it's not like snails are completely unallowed. It's just not allowed for human consumption.
Thank you so very much. On this note, I want to thank the team that has been working behind the scenes to put this together. Mr. Olufemi Boyede, the convener, Dr. Olu Taiwo, Sheyi Adebote, who had his birthday during the month. Thank you. Benga Oshinaike that put us in the media, myself that do the talking all the time. I just want to thank the team before we go to the rounding up. Any announcements, Sheyi and Mr. Boyede? Any announcements?
Well, not an announcement will be preemptive, but like I mentioned in my opening remarks, please stay tuned and stay glued to the WhatsApp platform and of course our other social media channels. You said West Africa Trade and Investment Hub, actually the AGOA specialist for Africa will be the lead speaker in the November edition of this program. And of course, the team has been invited to direct their thought and the direction of their presentation. And for me, I think what will add value to every participant should be what are the tools, whether they are digital, they are technology, or they are incentives, just like Engineer Olowokere mentioned, there are several of them, that SMEs and especially members of our platform can actually key into that will facilitate their speedy participation in the American market via AGOA. That's our plan for November. December, we're also talking to another UK group, a UK-funded project, not the one Titi Ojo made presentation on, but there's a new project that the UK is funding towards Nigerian exporters. Because we are lucky to have been invited as a co-consultant to participate in the conceptualization of the direction of that program, we think it's good for members, participants on this forum. So the idea is, please stay tuned. Keep your eyes open and your ears to the ground and your hands clicking on your mouth to find out what's happening here. Well, since I have the microphone, let me quickly also once again thank Engineer Olowokere. The reward for good work is more work. So on behalf of the participants today, I just want to let you know in advance that we are coming back. We are pleased. And please don't chase us away when we come to ask you to please talk to us again in this direction. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate everyone that have joined all over the world. Next month is another time to meet with us. And it's so easy to remember, every first Saturday of the month, 5 p.m. Nigerian time, and 12 noon Toronto time. Thank you so very much.
It may have changed. The Toronto time may have changed by November.
By November. So we stick with the one that does not change, which is the Nigerian West African time, 5 p.m. every first Saturday of the month. And the reason why you have us connecting with you is actually to promote the non-oil export, which is supposed to be driving the economy of not only Nigeria, not only West Africa, but throughout the world. You have questions, you need help, you need support, please reach out to us. We are available to work with you until you succeed. Engineer Olowokere, thank you so very much again. And the team that put this together, thank you once more. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful month.
I'm clapping on behalf of everybody for the team. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And God keep us. See you guys next month.
Amen.
Thank you. Good presentation. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Thank you.